Alright, kids. Doing this one in a bit of a spitfire this time. Got my coaster just in case. I don't really consider myself a considerably angry person or a super emotionally charged person. That isn't to say I don't feel anything when it comes to, any thing that would elicit any sort of emotional response. It's just that I don't generally lose my composure over certain things. But something that's kind of been bugging me is the shift in, political understanding, political correctness, and understanding when it comes to entertainment. So I was actually in the middle of a discussion with somebody a little while ago. Somebody approached me and they were talking about how, certain jokes are becoming unacceptable, things like that. And where they were coming from, I don't necessarily agree with, but what they said, I definitely did. That, making fun of certain groups is not okay. And I can't say I agree with the mentality that the woke movement is doing to art. I think that art needs to be ugly at times. I think it needs to be, mocked at times. I think every group and every story needs to be fair play, not in just a comedic sense, but just in a storytelling sense. That, saying we can't talk about these things, they're taboo now, or they're not okay now. I think there's a tactful way in film and television and games and stuff to approach any and every subject. What I think is the problem is that so many people are saying, talking about it, even mentioning it is taboo. This is taboo. It needs to be purged from any sort of entertainment. And I think that is a missed opportunity. I think you're supposed to feel a certain way about things. And I think you're supposed to make your points known about certain things. I don't think neutrality on everything is healthy or ideal. I think that you do need to be able to pick a position. And your position doesn't have to agree with mine. Like, if you think, making black jokes is crossing the line, that's totally fine. I don't agree. I think, all sorts of jokes against every group can be hilarious. I think there are certain jokes, not necessarily that they're not tactful, so much as I just don't find them funny. And I think that dismissing, comedy or dismissing any sort of understanding of the subject matter in any medium and saying that it can't be done is, just counterproductive to making the societal problem about that group or taboo go away. It's not going to help. Nothing is going to get solved if the subject is never discussed. And it's okay to not like the stuff. It's okay to say, all right, this is totally off the table. It can't be talked about. But you need to have a reason for going there, especially since by removing it from the table, it's gone. You can say certain things are bad. In fact, I would much sooner welcome this is bad to talk about than this can't be talked about, or that I don't like this thing. Because at least that is, a stand on something instead of saying we can't talk about it. Well, why not? How do you feel about it? Well, what does this do to the groups, people that are involved and those that aren't involved? Like a common one is white people saying the N-word. Some people hate it. Some people think it is absolutely unforgivable. But I've written shows where, white people say the N-word, and to me, it's another word. And what makes certain white people say the N-word okay in some of these shows, in my opinion, is where they grew up. I grew up around white people, and I used to live in Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey isn't exactly known for being politically correct. It's just not what it was about. So the white people that grew up with us just use the N-word, and nobody ever made a big stink about it because they grew up around, people that said it all the time. So there was a reason for why they did it and why nobody gave, you know, too much of a problem about it. But to just say this thing can't be talked about, it shuts down the whole conversation. And it means that nothing can be learned about either side of it. You can't learn anything about the people that agree with it because they're not allowed to agree with it, and you can't learn about the people that disagree with it because the problem isn't talked about. How they feel about it isn't discussed. And so I think that a stand needs to be made on all subjects: political, religious, racial, just taboo, everything. Everything needs to be on the table in this medium, in my opinion. I truly believe that. And I think if you allow yourself, if you don't agree with me, if you at least allow yourself to look and listen at those things that you disagree with, you might be able to take away at least the understanding of the people that do believe that. And yeah, I'm actually keeping it short today. Thank you for coming to the Daydreaming. Let's call it these catnaps. I like catnap. I'm gonna take a catnap. Why do I do this? I think I'm gonna be taking more than a catnap. Clearly, I feel okay about people drinking on camera. That one doesn't bother me.
Not important to get children to read. Children who want to read are going to read. Kids who want to learn to read are going to learn to read. Much more important to teach children to question what they read. Children should be taught to question everything. To question everything they read, everything they hear. Children should be taught to question authority. Parents never teach their children to question authority because parents are authority figures themselves and they don't want to undermine their own bullshit inside the household. So they stroke the kid, and the kid strokes them, and they all stroke each other, and they all grow up all fucked up, and they come to shows like this. Kids have to be warned that there's bullshit coming down the road. That's the biggest thing you can do for a kid. Tell them what life in this country is about. It's about a whole lot of bullshit that needs to be detected and avoided. That's the best thing you can do. No one told me. No one told me a thing like that. I was never warned about any of this. I had to find all of it out for myself. And there are still, as with you probably, a lot of things that you're expected to believe and accept in America that I personally have a problem with, and I question a lot of these things. Give you an example.